Hi, ladies and gentlemen, fellow traders. Welcome to another episode of Weekly Forex Outlook with Charts Engineering Pro. We really appreciate you for taking the time to watch this video, and we do not take it for granted at all. If you haven't yet subscribed or are new to this channel, kindly hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any content we post here. And if you also find value with what we share here, be sure to like and drop your comments, share your views, and share this video to your fellow traders or anyone who would find this information useful. We'll also drop a link to the free Telegram group in the description box of this video where we share updates of these setups as the week unfolds. So let's quickly have a look at the economic calendar for the coming week, and then we look at the recap at the end or the latter part of this video. I wish all of us to a happy new month as well, and a successful trading month as well. So let's get right into it. So on Monday, we have the USD ISM manufacturing PMI. Tuesday, we have an Italian bank holiday, which is going to affect the euro. And then on GBP's Bank of England's governor is also going to speak on Tuesday. Wednesday, we have AUDGDP high impact news. We also have the Bank of Japan also. The governor of Bank of Japan also speaking on Wednesday. And also we have the USD ADP non-farm employment change and ISM manufacturing or ISM services PMI on Wednesday. On Thursday we have the Australian dollar, the governor of Australia, Reserve Bank of Australia speak on Thursday, and also the governor of Bank of England is also going to speak again on Thursday. And then on Friday we know it's an NFP week. We're going to have the unemployment rate and employment change for CAD. We're also going to have NFP for USD. So let's see what we have on the charts for the coming week. This is Ukoil. So Ukoil, as explained last week, the DXY is actually now being driven by crude oil. So if we see these peace talks and this settlement between the United States and Iran and with Israel as well, we are likely going to see crude oil prices drop all the way to, this is Brent crude oil, so all the way to $75 to $66 per barrel. And so last week we saw that if we are to see bearishness in crude oil, then we shouldn't expect strength in DXY. So if we are going to see some bullishness in crude oil, then we are likely to see some bullishness in DXY as well. So last week we anticipated that we're expecting prices to shift this daily structure here and come for a retest. The retest never came. So we are looking at these two areas, either this first zone or a possible retest of the actual area or daily structure points where we were expecting price to retest before selling. Then we look for selling opportunities from there to the downside. So these are TP1 at $84 per barrel, and then the zone which I mentioned earlier, which is at the $75 to $66 per barrel for Brent crude oil. So we are very bearish on Brent crude oil, and this is what is actually driving the DXY and the dollar pairs. So this is the VTI or USOIL. So last week we anticipated that price was going to shift to this daily structure point. It shifted, but we didn't get a retest. So going into this week, we are looking forward to a possible retest of this zone we have here, or the structure point, which we were expecting to be retested last week, and then we look for selling opportunities from there to the downside. So this is DXY. So DXY is also currently reacting from an area of interest, and as I explained earlier, if we are to see bearishness in crude oil, then we are likely going to see more bearishness in DXY for the coming weeks. Sorry. So as you can see here, we're expecting DXY to break this daily structure point. It eventually broke it on Friday, at the latter part of Friday. So as you can see now, price has currently shifted bearish on the daily perspective. So going into next week, what we are looking forward to is a possible pullback. So we are just looking forward to a possible pullback into this area of consolidation. We're just looking for a possible pullback into this area for consolidation to give us a lower high formation. We look for selling opportunities to the downside. And as we are looking forward to selling opportunity to the downside, this is an area of support or area of interest which we cannot overlook. So as price approaches this area, you're just going to monitor and see if we get the strong momentum breaking through this area of interest, then we are likely going to break through all the way down to the various TPs we have here for DXY. So when price gets here, we are likely going to see some reactions within this zone. If the reactions also come in as bullish and it shifts bullish, we might likely shift our bias also to a bullish perspective. But then it's more bearish than bullish now, considering how the expectations we have on crude oil for the coming weeks. So we are very bearish on DXY. So last week we took a position. This is EURUSD. We took a position, and then I'll say we closed out very early, and later on price came back into the direction which we expected it to go to. So we were expecting this movement last week, and price messed around here and actually gave us this impulsive move. So now we are waiting for this next retracement or this higher low formation so this position was no longer exists. So let's take it out. Let's take these ones out. Sorry. Yeah, so we finally have a daily structure shift here and a 4-hour structure shift as well, which is giving us a bullish indication. So going into next week, what we are looking forward to is a possible higher low formation, just as the arrow is showing, which we had from last week. So let me indicate it again so to be clear. We are looking forward to a possible higher low formation back into this area. Then we look for buying opportunities to the upside, or a possible higher low formation. But then this area of interest will be our area of resistance, which can resist price for some time. We just have to monitor price when it approaches this zone. So these are the various TPs we have for EURUSD. So EURUSD, these are the various TPs we have for it. So as price progresses, then we are going to find more opportunities to the upside. That is if crude oil keeps weakening and DXY also keeps weakening. So last week I explained something that we are looking forward to. We would have been more bearish on EURUSD if we had drop down to the daily time frame. Yes, so if we had a monthly candle close below the structure point here, or a weekly candle close below the structure point here, then our bearishness would have been more confirmed for the month. But then we didn't get that break or that closure below these zones below here. So we are still we would rather consider the bullish side than the bearish side for now. So we are very bullish on EURUSD for the coming week. And the possible scenarios we have is should price break below the daily structure point and find its way to close with a weekly candle below this zone, that's when we are going to consider bearishness for EURUSD. But for now, on a daily perspective and a 4-hour perspective, it has shifted bullish. So this is GBP. So GBP, last week we anticipated that price is currently reacting strongly from an area of interest. So we're looking forward to a possible higher low formation to see price rise to the top. And now what we are going to look out for this week is possible retracement to another higher low formation to give us some buying opportunities to the upside. So these will be our targets for GBP for the coming week to the upside. So we are bullish on GBPUSD as well due to DXY's weakness for the coming week. We will consider this bearish if price is able to break this area of interest we have here and move to the downside. So we are very bullish on GBPUSD for now. So this is USDCHF. We closed out early on this position due to how DXY was behaving last week. So this position was closed out early, and the price actually played out exactly as we anticipated it to do. So this was also a break-even trade. This was a break-even trade, and we've still not lost it all. We still have another opportunity to take this sell to the downside. So let's take this out from here. So going into next week, all we are looking forward to is a possible pullback into this first area of interest. We are looking forward to a possible pullback into this first area of interest. We look for selling opportunities from here to the downside, to the various targets we had from the previous week. Should price pull back a bit higher into this zone above, we'll still be interested in taking the sells from there as well to the downside. So these are the various targets we have for USD CHF for the coming week. We are very bearish on that. This is AUDUSD. We took this position as well, and we closed out early, but eventually it actually hit our SL though. But we closed out around this area, but it still hit our SL. So last week we anticipated that price was going to give us this break of structure, this daily structure shift here, and come for a higher low formation and take us to the upside. But as you can see, this is now the formation of the break. So what we are looking forward to is now we are looking forward to the retracement. Take these things out. Now what we are waiting for, now we have the daily structure shift. So what we are waiting for is the higher low formation that will take us to the upside. So all we are waiting for is a possible pullback to give us a higher low formation. Then we'll take our buys from there to the various targets we have here for AUDUSD. We will consider this bearish if we get a daily candle break below. If we get a daily candle break below these lows we have here, these daily lows we have here, and we come for a retest, then we look forward to the sell side for AUDUSD. Until then, we are bullish on AUDUSD. This is NZDUSD, and NZDUSD on a large scale or a higher time frame, price is likely heading all the way up to these various targets we have above. So going into next week, we are looking forward to a possible move that is going to break this area of interest we have here, this strong area of interest we have here, and give us a continuation to these targets we have above. That is if we see weakness, more weakness in DXY, this move is likely going to happen. We're likely going to see price break above this zone. But going into next week, what we are looking out for is a possible pullback into these areas of interest. I'm looking forward to a possible pullback into these two areas of interest to give us some buying opportunities. So if price pulls back here, gives us a buying opportunity, we'll take our buys to the upside. Should it pull back all the way to the second zone below, we'll still be interested in taking the buys from there for the coming week. NZDUSD is extremely bullish now. It can only shift bearish if we see price break below these lows we have here. Until then, we are extremely bullish on NZDUSD for the coming week. This is GBPJPY. So for GBPJPY, currently JPY index is very weak. So what we are looking forward to is more bullishness on the JPY pairs for the coming week. So going into next week, we are looking forward to a possible pullback to this area of interest. Should price retest this area of interest and give us buying opportunities, we'll take the buys from here. Should it come all the way a bit lower to this zone we have below, we'll still be interested in taking the buys from here to the upside. And these are the various targets we have for GBPJPY for the coming week. We have here EURJPY, and for EURJPY, it's similar to what we have on GBPJPY. So all we are looking forward to is a possible pullback to this area of interest to give us buying opportunities to the upside. We are waiting for price to retest this area of interest. We'll take our buys to the upside. So these are the various targets we have for EURJPY for the coming week. This is NZDJPY, and for NZDJPY has formed a nice inverse head and shoulder, and the momentum that is coming is very crazy. So going into next week, all we are looking forward to is a possible pullback into this first area of interest. Look for buying opportunities from here to the upside. Should price pull back to the second zone below, we'll still be interested in taking the buys from here. And what we are seeing here on NZDJPY is likely going to repeat itself on GBPUSD. GBPUSD is giving a similar formation, and I think if DXY weakens, we are likely going to see that. So let me go back to GBPUSD and zoom out so we can see. It's a possible formation that is likely to repeat itself. So let me map this out with some arrows. This will be the left shoulder. This is the head. And now we have the possible right shoulder, which is now developing and is likely going to shoot up just as we saw on NZDJPY. This is a likely formation we might see on GBPUSD as we've seen on NZDJPY. That is, if DXY continues to weaken, we're likely going to see this movement play out in some few weeks ahead of us. So we have here CHFJPY. So for CHFJPY, we are looking forward to a possible pullback into this area of interest. This very first area of interest, look for buying opportunities to the upside. CHF is currently very strong and JPY is weak, so this will be one of the best pairs to take your buys or your positions on. And should price pull back to the second zone below, still be interested in taking the buys from there to the upside. As we can see, since crude oil is dropping, CAD is weak, so pairing CAD and JPY and pairing USD and JPY, we will likely see a lot of consolidations on those pairs because USD is weak, JPY is weak, CAD is weak if crude oil holds to the sell side. So those pairs might be a bit tricky. So let's focus on these ones: CHFJPY, GBPJPY, and EURJPY for the coming week. So this is GBPCHF. We made a mess out of ourselves. We closed out on a very solid position last week, and we still have more opportunities to take this position as well. So we are very bearish on GBPCHF for now. So all we're looking forward to is a possible pullback into this area of interest to look for selling opportunities all the way to the downside. So we are very bearish on GBPCHF. This is EURCHF, and we're also very bearish on EURCHF as well. So going into next week, we want to see a possible pullback into the first area of interest. Should price pull back here or the second area of interest above and give us selling opportunities, we'll take ourselves from there to the downside. So we are very bearish on EURCHF. This is CADCHF. So CADCHF, last week we anticipated this pullback. But we didn't get clarity on the entry. We anticipated this pullback to give us an entry to the downside. But going into next week, if we get this opportunity once again to see price retest this area of interest we have here, we are likely going to see some reactions from this area of interest. We take ourselves from there to the downside. So these are the various the various targets we have for CADCHF to the downside. So we are very bearish on CADCHF for the coming week. This is NZDCAD. So NZDCAD, last week we anticipated that we are looking forward to a possible pullback into these daily structural points or to give us a lower high formation. The lower high formation came, but we didn't get any clear entry here to take this position. So price took off and we missed out on it. So going into next week, let me take these TPs out since price has already taken them. Let's hide these TPs. Good. So going into next week, all we are looking forward to is a possible pullback into this area of interest. As if price can make its way here, it looks very long, but if price is able to make its way here, or even somewhere before this area of interest, and we get some buying confirmations around here, we can still take our buys to the upside for NZDCAD for the coming week. This is EURNZD. We actually took a buy position on this pair, which we hit our first TP, and then eventually price was taken out by the news that was released for the NZD last week. So going into next week, this is what we are looking out for. We are going to wait for this possible pullback into this area of interest. Should price pull back to this area of interest and give us selling opportunities from here, we'll take ourselves from here to the downside. Should price also pull back a bit higher into the zone above, we'll still look for selling opportunities from there to the downside for EURNZD. So we are very bearish on EURNZD for the coming week. And for its counterpart, which is the GBPNZD, GBPNZD is likely going to form a head and shoulder formation, which is very, very huge. So this is the formation that is likely going to happen. This is what is actually happening. This is the possible head and shoulder. So this is the left shoulder. This is the head. And this is the right shoulder, which is currently moving. So we are likely going to see some momentum, more momentum to the downside. So going into next week, what we are going to look out for is a possible pullback to this area of interest. These two areas of interest we have here. I'm looking forward to a possible pullback here. Then we can take ourselves from there. Should price pull back into this very first area of interest, we'll look for selling opportunities to the downside. Should it pull back to the second area of interest above, we'll still be interested in taking the sells from here to the downside. So these are the various targets we have for GBPNZD for the coming week. So this is AUDNZD. So AUDNZD price has currently shifted strongly bearish. Price kept building up a divergence within this area over here, and we saw a very strong momentum on NZD after NZD's news was released last week. So going into next week, we now have a nice weekly and daily structure shift. All we are looking for is a possible pullback into this very first area of interest. Look for selling opportunities to the downside to this area, or should price pull back a bit higher into the zone we have above, we'll still be interested in taking ourselves from there to the downside. So we are very bearish on AUDNZD. We have here EURGBP. So last week we anticipated that price was going to pull back into this area of interest to give us some selling opportunities to the downside. Price has approached the area, and we are going to be patient to see how it develops. We are just going to wait for reversal patterns or signs of bearishness from this area of interest, so we can take ourselves from there to the downside for EURGBP. So these are the various targets we have for EURGBP should we get the selling opportunity to the downside. So this is gold. So for gold, we are looking at the possible bullishness that is setting in, or possible bearishness that is setting in on a DXY. So going into next week, what we are looking out for on gold is we are waiting for a daily structural shift. We are waiting for a daily candle to close above this structural point. Then we wait for a higher low formation. Then we look for buying opportunities into these areas we have above. So this is likely going to give us a possible harmonic pattern, which is this is going to be the X, this is going to be the A, going to be the B, possible C leg, and then our D leg comes all the way to the upside. So we just have to be patient and see how price develops. Price can also equally not break above that structure point straightforward. Price can also give us the lower high formation right here, which is going to look like a possible right shoulder. Come here, break above the structure point to the daily candle, then come for another retest of the neckline before it takes off to the upside. So these are the two possible scenarios you're looking out for on gold for the coming week. Should price break below this area of interest, then we know that we are heading to the downside for gold. So for now, we are neutral. All we are waiting for is to see clarity as to where gold wants to head to, depending on which area breaks first. This is silver. So for silver, we're also looking for a possible formation, a possible setup just as we saw on gold. So if we are able to get a daily candle close above the structure point here, we'll look for a possible higher low formation or right shoulder, then we'll look for buys to the upside. So these are the various targets we have for silver for the coming week should we move to the upside. Price can also give us some momentum, bullish momentum, fail us, break below this zone, come for a retest and continue to the downside. So we just have to be patient and see how price develops. Then we take our position on silver. So this is Australia 200. Last week we had this position, this setup. Last week was terrible. We had this setup and we got a very nice buy position here. The price was just pulling back, and the way DXY was messing around. Price action was something else last week. So this one we closed very early around here. We closed this position around here. Yes, around here. And so going into next week, we now have the formation we were looking for before the entry. It has now given us that break properly. So going into next week, we are now waiting for the possible higher low formation, which is going to come back to retest this structure point we have here, or come back, pull back a bit deeper, then we look for a better buying opportunity to the upside, targeting the same targets we had from last week. So we are still very bullish on Australia 200. What we are waiting for is the possible higher low formation. We'll take our sales and take this one out. Make it clearer. Yes. So we are just waiting for the possible pullback to retest this structure point or give us a higher low formation. Then we take our buys from here to the upside. So these are the various targets we have for Australia 200. This is US 2000 or the Russell 2000. We are very bullish on this index. Going into next week, all we are waiting for is a possible pullback into this area of interest to look for buying opportunities to the upside. So we are very bullish on US 2000. But if we are able to get a daily candle to close below the structure point here, then we might probably shift bearish on this index. But for now, we are extremely bullish on Russell 2000. So we have here BTC. BTC, this position we have been holding for a while, and price is moving nicely. And we currently have this nice daily structure shift here. So we are looking forward to a possible retest of the daily structure points. We are looking forward to see price to retest this structure point again. If we are fortunate to see that, we might likely take another position, sell position from here the downside, looking using the same targets we have for this position. So we are still more bearish on the BTC, which we are targeting around 58k to 46k, that's within this zone, and the worst case scenario 35k to the downside. So we are very bearish on BTC. So let's have a quick look at the recap and some of the positions we took and some of the positions we were out of, or we exited way earlier during the week. Oops, I think my connection is very terrible now. Okay, yeah. So last week I think we took, after we closed out on the first buy position on EURUSD, we took another buy again with a tighter stop loss, and we were still taking out. So this was a loss for EURUSD, and this is EURNZD. So EURNZD, we caught this nice buy position, and after price hits our first TP. The news for the NZD interest rate or something like that came, and then it drove everything down, all the way down, and it gave us clarity that now price is very bearish on EURNZD than bullish. So this is Euro. I think for EURJPY, the JPY pairs, we were holding that position from the previous week, and we're waiting to get some more clarity on what price wanted to do. So we're holding this position from the previous week, and looking at how the JPY index was very weak, we closed out this sell position on EURJPY around here. So this was a loss also. I will close it out before it hits the SL. And this is also AUDJPY. We're holding this sell position, and we closed out around the side, and price eventually took it out. So it was also a loss on this JPY position. And I think for the NZD, yes, NZD2 we closed out early. So NZD, yeah, so for NZD2 we closed out around this area. We closed out around here, and price just blasted through the SL. So this was also a loss, or it was minimized. And we have CADCHF, which we were actually in profits from the previous week. So we also cut that position. Looking at how JPY was weak, we also closed out on this position in profits around here. And as you can see, price is just going to reverse. So for CADCHF, there's another opportunity we have here. What we are seeing here is a possible inverse and a shoulder that is forming. But if we look at it with the candlesticks, we might not see it clearly. We switch the line chart, you realize that we have this left shoulder, we have this head, and a possible right shoulder which is forming. So going into next week, since we are already out of this position, what we can wait for is a possible break above. Should we get a daily candle break above this daily structure, or preferably this daily structure point, we come for a retest and look forward to buying opportunities to the upside. Also, what price can also possibly do is, if you go to the 4-hour time frame, price can also just give us another retracement. Price can also possibly give a retracement back somewhere here, and then to look for buying opportunities from here to blast through to the upside. So we can consider buying opportunities on CADCHF for the coming week, but then those two currencies are weak, and we might likely see a lot of consolidations. So those CADCHF might not be the most preferable for for buys actually on CADCHF. So this was crazy, man. We had this old position we were holding. We had a second entry. We took this third entry, and the real price action was last week. I think the emotions at the time was fear of losing out on these positions. So we closed all these 3 positions at this point. only for us to see price tank all the way here. So we missed out on all these moves right here, but then we still have another opportunity to take this sell to the downside. And I think last week we were looking forward to see a daily structure shift here, look for a pullback and look for buying opportunities to the various TPs we have here. Price just broke out and never returned, and then reversed after I hit the TP2, so we were unable to even catch this position at all on AUDNZD. So thank you so much for sticking through to the end of this video. I really appreciate you for your time, and I'll encourage all of us to apply proper risk management to our trades. Let's all trade safe and sound, and I wish all of us a profitable week ahead of us and a profitable month ahead of us. Take good care of yourselves, and I'll catch you on another episode. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.